Alright, so we got a new Miller-Matic 211 unboxing to replace our Lincoln Electric. Let's see here. So here's the specs. And let's see what's in the box. There's the instructions, the paperwork that comes with it. And there's booklet, owner's manual. And there's all the accessories, trigger, spool of wire, see that after. And the unit itself, pretty well packaged. We have the regulator here that comes with it in the package. Wiring. It's got the big plug for the 220. It also does 110. So let's pull it out of the box and see what we got. Got the gun on the side here. Pretty good. Take this guy out. Alright, just some packaging at the bottom. Throw that other packaging. Get that out of our way. Alright. And wire off it. It's got some decent plastic packaging on it. Go get some cutters. Start back again once I unwrap it from the plastic. And here we go. These are the contents of the accessories in the box. So you'll see there's the MIG gun with the regulator and the hose for the regulator. The spool of .30 wire with 2 tips. Then you have the clamp, the grounding clamp, which is a little cheapo looking. Then you have the booklet for the regulator, the booklet for the gun, or the handle or trigger, what you want to call it, and the booklet for the machine. And then since we're in Canada, there's the French packet of the same documents and the door sticker for all the settings, and a strap, I guess, to secure your welding gun when you're not using it. So that's pretty much the contents of the box, besides from the welder. Alright, so now we got the Lincoln off the cart, which I was hoping to reuse. However, the cart is a little too small for the actual Miller, but it'll do for now until we grab a cart next week. A little bit wider, a little bit longer than the old Lincoln, but hopefully it'll be a stronger and more performing welder than the Lincoln, which I assume won't be too bad. So we'll take a look at the inside panel and see what's there. Alright, so here's the side of the welder. We'll open up the panel. It's got a nice latch on it. And you can see here's all the spec sheet for the different settings, different gauges of steel, all that kind of stuff. And then you see the stuff that's inside the welder as it comes in the box. So you have some of this wire here, I guess, for the gun setup and the clamp and all that. It's got the 110 plug we can add in. Got some other stuff over here, tag for, I guess, warranty paperwork and so forth. Let's see what else. And there's just like a little strap. I'm not sure what that's for, but we'll figure it out. That's what it looks like. And as I've seen in some of the other videos, this is made out of steel. It looks like it's a stronger construction, whereas the Lincoln is plastic, and I assume some other lower cost welders have it out of plastic. This one's all steel. The quality of the thing looks pretty good. So I'll hook up all the accessories and then see how it sets up. Alright, so here's the front of the machine. I've undone the tie wrap they had holding this spool together for the ground clamp. They had the front already passed through the machine. The ground terminal passed through the front of the machine. So just have to fish that through. I did see the review that Chucky 2009 did on this machine. He did mention that the original ground clamp was probably one of the shortcomings of this whole unit. I would tend to agree. I mean, even if you look at the tip, it's kind of fits into each other and kind of clamps in, and it's kind of cheapo clamp. So I actually passed by Home Depot and I found a funny enough Lincoln Electric clamp that actually had a nice strap and nice copper leads on both ends, which I'm going to use instead. It's a little bit harder to open, but that's okay. It'll do the job. The contact will be a lot better, so we won't even use the original clamp. I didn't even bother. So now let's set this up and then move on to the next step. Alright, so here we got the regulator. The regulator has two caps on it. There's one over here and one over there. This side will go into the tank, and this side will go onto the flexible hose which goes onto the machine. The hose comes already with a little clip on it, which I may change to a more permanent clip later. This is a little spring-loaded clip. So you plug this guy into here and move the clip up. The other end of the hose has the fitting to go into the unit, into the welder, and this end of the fitting, this end of the regulator has a fitting to go into the tank. There's a little label over here we'll remove in a minute, and we'll secure this to the tank and run that, come back on once all that's installed. Alright, so here's a cool little thing that we just figured out on the machine. So if you're looking at this whole assembly, this is where the wire goes through. We've plugged our lower plug in, we've slid through the actual gun where the wire is going to go through. But if you see here, we have the handle that holds down the whole, I guess, roller assembly, if you want to call it. If you open that, watch out, because this thing is spring loaded, so it's going to want to kick up. Let that up. And if you see, there's 3 grooves in the wheel, so you should be able to have all your thicknesses which the machine is designed for, so 0.24, 0.30, 0.35 as it's listed on the chart. So I assume that these grooves are made for each one of those thicknesses. But if you're trying to look and see how do you get it to move over, you can't really initially, unless you read the manual obviously. You don't really see, there's no adjustments on any of the sides here, but what you do is you push in the wheel, and there's these little notches machined into it, and as you push the wheel in and turn it, see, there's one notch that lets the whole thing out, and at each notch will line up with a different groove. See, so the first groove, turn it, a little turn, the car's trying to run away here. First groove, next groove, next groove, see? So that's kind of cool. So now we'll get the spool of wire in. I'm going to move on to hooking up the regulator on the tank. Alright, so I pulled all the wire out for the ground lead, and I figured out what that little strap in the corner is. You can put your spare plug there. I also pushed through the wire for the actual MIG gun, which just pushes in. There's this plug on the bottom of it, and then you slide that into this area here, and then you tighten this wing nut over there, and then this guy will just plug into the contacts over there, and then you turn the top just to lock it in. Next step after this, we're going to go and set up the wire that came with the machine, which is some 0.30, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we got the adapter off. You can see there's the adapter, there's the washer, the spring, and the nut, which are on in that order, so it's washer, spring, nut. And then here's our spool of Hobart wire, which came with the kit, 0.030 MIG wire, and then the instructions tell you to put this on feeding from the top into the unit, not from the bottom, but from the top. So then you got to put the washer spring, and then the lock nut that comes with it, and then we'll just snag it up with the wrench and make sure that it's not super loose as it is now. And then we're going to feed it through the wire guide over here, over the roller, and then into the gun. And there's some pressure adjustment indicators over here, which we'll take a look at after I feed the wire in. Alright, so here we go. The spool wire is on. It's fed from the top. It goes through what they call the wire guide over the spool, over the wheel, drive wheel, goes into the gun, and it actually fed in really easily by hand. Usually you'll run the machine and hit the trigger to pull it through. For fun, I tried pushing it as far as I could, and I actually fed it the whole way through the gun. So that's that. So then we're going to close the door over here, and then close this guy here. And then we can adjust the settings on the tensioner over here. In the manual it says to start at 2 and then work your way from there. As you could tell over here, we're on the middle drive groove. This is a regular wire, no flux core, and this is 0.030, so that goes in the middle. If it was 0.24, it would go on one side. If it was flux core, it would go on the other one. Obviously the bigger groove would be for the 0.30 to 35 flux core. So that's done. So the next thing now is going to be to adjust this, make sure we're good. I think we're fine as it is. And then the next step is going to be to hook up the regulator onto the tank, and then hook up the adapter for the 110, plug it in, and see what we can do with this guy. Alright, so the wire is through the tip. We've put the little electrode, I guess you want to call it, on the end for the 0.030. The end on this gun only doesn't screw on. The Lincoln Electric with thread on. This guy's just a pressure fit. It's just pushed on. You can see there's a little spring clip at the end over here, like a tension ring to hold that on there. So you just pull off and push it back on, and then that part's done. So we'll try the tip on there and move to the next step. Alright, so the regulator, everything's all hooked up. The power button is on the back of the machine over here. So we'll hit that in a minute. We'll just take a look at the front panel first over here. So if you look at the front panel, here's all the knobs. You've got the auto set feature on this. What's nice on this also is that the knobs are actually they don't have notches in them, so you're not stuck on a setting. You can go in between settings on this, whereas like the lower end Lincolns and stuff like that, they're kind of like it's either A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. You can't go 1.5 or 1 1/4 or whatever it is to fine tune in your voltage or your speed. I mean, not your speed, your heat. Then there's the wire speed over here, which also has the auto set features. If you look over here, the auto set is the 0.024. You choose your wire size. You hit the wire size, and then after that you choose your material thickness, whatever thickness of steel you're going to be doing, and then you have your middle setting over here, which would be MIG wire, based on what kind of flux, gas, etc. So what kind of type of MIG wire you're using, what kind of welding you're doing. And then the lights will light up over here and give you the indication for if you have an improper setting that it deems you set it up in a way that's not correct. The blue light over here will flash, or it'll be solid when you're dialed into the proper thickness and wire speed for the auto set. Or otherwise, you would come out of the auto set and then you're completely manual on the settings over here. So we'll turn this guy on and try a couple of test welds and see how this is compared to the little MIG Pack 10 we used to use.